Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! I cannot believe it's Christmas. I can't believe it's Christmas in New York City. I can't believe the dream has come true. Like, this is all I wanted, was to wake up on Christmas Day and be in New York City. So I've accomplished that. It's a lovely feeling. It didn't snow here today, but it is a white Christmas because it snowed yesterday and it all stuck to the ground. So there is snow everywhere. And I just kind of took today easy. I woke up this morning. The tradition of my family for breakfast is usually bacon and cinnamon buns. And I didn't have any bacon this morning, but I did have some cinnamon buns, so that was awesome. And then just kind of relaxed and watched some TV and just kind of took it easy. And then when I felt like I was ready for an adventure, I went down to find some coffee and went for a walk all along Fifth Avenue, which any other day probably would have been fine, but to do it on Christmas, I guess everybody else had the same idea. So it was unreal. Like, you'll see in the footage, like, in comparison to other days, the amount of people that are out today is just absolutely nuts. And the other thing too is, like, and this frustrates me in small town Canada where I'm from, but at the same time, when you come to New York, it's just like multiplied. Like, there's just so many more people here. But it's the people that lack self-awareness. Like, so many people, there'd be like hundreds of us going in one direction, and then all of a sudden 2 people will stop and they have a stroller, so they're blocking off like the whole sidewalk. Like, the amount of people I have almost like slammed into or did slam into because they decided to just stop and check their phone. Like, I'm also a tourist and obviously don't know where I am, but like, step off to the side for fuck's sakes. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you inconveniencing everybody else? It's just fucking baffling to me. It's happened a lot throughout the trip and everything, but just especially today walking down Fifth Avenue because there were so many people and just everybody was lost and trying to take photos and stuff. So it was an experience. And the other thing I noticed today too is like I've seen vendors on the side of the road and the sidewalk and stuff, and they'll have like fake purses and stuff like that. But like today it almost felt like I was walking down Canal Street, which is where most of that usually lives, in Chinatown. But oh my god, it, like the amount of vendors that were out, the amount of people that were trying to hand me stuff. One of those monks that I've seen people they'll warn you like in like the tourist trap videos of New York City and stuff. One of the things they'll tell you about is the monk that's trying to give you a fucking bracelet or something. Today it happened. Today the monk tried to give me a bracelet, and then as soon as I said no, thank you or whatever, Merry Christmas or whatever, he rolled his eyes at me. You're supposed to be a monk, sir. I know you're not real, but what the fuck? So walked around Fifth Avenue, and the interesting thing about it too is if you just walk like one street away from it, it goes back to normal. Like nobody was out, it was pretty quiet, it was just the locals and stuff like that. So just be aware of like the touristy areas, or go super early in the morning, or I don't know what to tell you, but it was just, I don't even know if it'll be good at any time today. It was just insane. And something else I wanted to go do was see the Rockefeller tree at night, but to do that on Christmas Day, probably not wise. So I'll probably do that tomorrow or Friday before I leave. I can't believe my time here is coming to an end. I've been having so much fun. I think if anything I've realized, and I've known this for a while, but like Fredericton will always be home for me, but I don't think that's the place that I'm meant to stay in forever. And I think the amount of growth I've done there, and you know, changing who I am and coming into my own and stuff like that, like I think I've reached the max capacity of like how much more I can grow there, just personally. And you know, I think that's okay. So it's interesting the place that I'm in right now. I'm not saying like, oh, I love New York so much I'm gonna move here or whatever, but whether it's Toronto or it's New York or it's San Francisco or maybe somewhere else, I don't know. I think there's a big change coming for me this year, and I think I'm finally ready to take the leap, as terrifying as it is. It's really nice to like be home in a sense. Like I have so much help with the animals. Like when my other ex and I finally separated, it was just me and these 3 animals, and I had to do everything by myself for years. So the fact that I have somebody, like my parents are looking after my pets right now so I can travel. So like, I don't know if you hear me with a siren. New York, baby! My birthday's coming up really fast, and I'm headed into a whole new decade, a whole new era, my 30s, and I have a really good feeling about this era. I think my 20s was making a lot of like different mistakes, but I think, you know, you have to make mistakes to grow and learn and to, you know, not do them again and stuff like that. It makes you wiser, I guess, over time. Not that I feel like I'm the wisest crayon in the pack or whatever, but I've definitely made a lot of strides in that direction over this decade. And I feel like my 30s are going to be for me. I think this is the era of being selfish. This is the era of moving to where I want to go and not thinking about the consequences, just figuring it out as I go. I think this is the era for travel. This is the era for growth. This is the era for self-love. This is the era of not letting other people in to drain me. I find I do that a lot. Like, this is really going to be a selfish one for me, I think. And I think about fucking damn time, so I don't feel bad about it either. I think I need this. I can't let somebody ever have enough control over me that when they leave me or whatever, it breaks me the way it has. Like, I need to detach in some ways, and I need to start over and start fresh somewhere. So don't know what that's gonna look like, but that's kind of what's on the horizon. It'll be fun for vlogs. I'll be like, move with me to wherever the hell and let's figure it out, and let's start up my business again, and let's try to figure things out. But yeah, that's what I'm playing with today. Like, it's Christmas Day and I'm taking it all in, and I'm grateful to be here and I'm enjoying the time and stuff, but it's really making me start to, like, it's clicked now. It's like, you can't keep going back home and just accepting that. You gotta stop settling for less in your life, in relationships, in friendships, and whatever the fuck. You gotta stop settling, and you need to be able to ask for what you want and not be afraid to ask for what you want. And I think it scares me because what I want isn't what everybody else around me wants. Like, I have such huge hopes and dreams for myself, and I think over the last couple of years I've given up on them, and I just wanted to survive. I just wanted to make enough money to pay my bills and keep food on the table, and like the growth side of things has like taken a step back for me. And I was just trying to make everyone around me happy too, and that made me suffer. So like, enough of that. Enough. We're heading into our 30s. It's gonna be a selfish era, and we're gonna make some big waves, and I want to be able to die someday and like look back on my life and be happy and not regret things. I think that's the other thing. I don't want to regret not moving to a big city. I don't want to regret, you know, not going after the love of my life, or I don't want to regret not starting up my business somewhere else because I was too scared. Like I need to let go of a lot of that shit and just try and just trust that the universe, I'm a big spiritual girly, just trust that the universe is all unfolding and working out for me the way it's supposed to. I saw a quote a while ago and it was something like, you know, the universe will never let you settle in a situation that's not for you. And holy fuck, is that ever true? Like every time I have tried to just settle and be happy, like the universe has like come and taken me by the shoulders and like shook me one way or another. Been like, wake the fuck up and get out of this situation. You've learned your lessons. You've done what you need to do in this, and now it's time to keep going. So that's where my mindset's been at today. I've had a lot of time to like just kind of reflect as I've walked around. That's what's going through my mind. But yeah, to come back to what I did today, I left Midtown because it was just frigging insane, and I had to take the train, which ended up being at Grand Central Station. I know Grand Central Station from Gossip Girl. It's like the opening scene where Serena comes back from boarding school and Dan sees her and he makes his first Gossip Girl post of her at the Grand Central Station. So I got to actually go up the steps to where it was that she was standing, and I went up to this this poor guy. He didn't speak English. He was a nice Chinese man, but I saw him trying to take selfies of himself, and I went up to him and I was like, I'll take a photo of you if you take a photo of me. Which, by the way, only do that if the people seem like genuinely sweet and they're also tourists. Like, I can't imagine going up to a local and doing that. I imagine they would take my phone and run for the most part. So just be careful. Make sure like it's a touristy spot, the person looks like a tourist themselves, like they'll benefit from this like mutual exchange kind of thing. That's how I've been going about asking people to take my photo, and I haven't had any bad experiences yet. I'm sure I might run into something, but so far so good. And so I got to explore that area, and then I took the train to the Upper East Side. I'm on the west. The Upper East Side, and that's where Mia's Brooklyn Bakery is. I've seen really great reviews for it, and then I was almost going to Uber Eats it the other night, but it ended up being like $45 Canadian or something, and I was like, well, if I just go by myself, it should be a lot cheaper because the delivery costs and stuff. So I ended up getting a beautiful looking creme brulee. My two favorite desserts, creme brulee and cheesecake, and I got one of each. So I got a New York style cheesecake as well. Not to eat both of them tonight, but I wanted to have a nice treat to come home to after I go to Dyker Heights tonight. So I actually have a tour booked tonight. I didn't want to spend the whole Christmas by myself. It just felt like that would be a little sad and depressing, and I really don't want to let myself like slip into that headspace. I just want to be happy and enjoy this. So yeah, I'm going to Dyker Heights. It's in Brooklyn. It's about an hour-and-a-half train ride from here, so that's gonna be something. I'm gonna have to download a podcast or something because you lose internet once you go down there, so I'm gonna have to do something, entertain myself. But yeah, it's an hour-and-a-half. You go over there. It is exactly where the bridge is to go to Staten Island, which is interesting. So I'll be able to see Staten Island from the shore. And they're gonna walk us all through Dyker Heights. It's about an hour-and-a-half tour. I don't know how big Dyker Heights is, but an hour and a half, and we're gonna do that. So, and this is where like the rich people live, and they take really big pride in like going all out for Christmas and decorating. Like, I think it's like a famous like landmark essentially at this point. But they're gonna walk us all through there, and then I'm gonna take the train back and eat my creme brulee and call it a night. So that's how I'm spending Christmas. No pressure, nothing crazy going on, just a nice, lovely, festive day. But yeah, take a lesson from me and avoid Fifth Avenue on Christmas Day, and probably Rockefeller and like all those other like touristy spots. Even Dyker Heights might be friggin' insane tonight, but anyways, we signed up for it. We're going. Dyker Heights lights are amazing. It reminds me a lot of the St. Mary's community back in Fredericton, but the sheer amount of volume of people here and clearly the money for the electricity bills just results in some of the most beautiful displays. And if you step like one street off of the main stretch, there's like no one here and there's still tons of beautiful lights to see. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed and need your own space, this is what you do. But yeah, I headed back to the subway station now and going home to enjoy some creme brulee. I'm going to finish up this Christmas on a good note. But honestly, it's been a great day. I haven't felt sad. I had a nice video call with my family earlier, so I felt like I was still a part of their Christmas, and they're being super good to my pets. Colby got a brand new toy. My parents got that for him and gave that to him, and he's super excited about it. And the cat's got a pail of litter because it's $40 fucking for a pail, so thank you, Mom and Dad. But yeah, off we go.
Machiavellian mob. And what a morning it is. Oh, Kevin, up in heaven. Whenever the loch glistens in the moonlight, I will see your face. Whenever the majestic stag bellows in the forest, I will hear your voice. Not really.